I should have turned back the moment we saw the cabin, but I didn't. I thought I was brave, experienced, rational. I was wrong. It started on a crisp October morning. The Carpathian Mountains stretched endlessly in every direction, mist curling around the peaks like silent ghosts. I was with 3 friends, Marta, Lucas, and Jonas, on what we thought would be a weekend camping trip. The weather was deceptively calm, the air fresh and tinged with the scent of pine and wet earth. We hiked for hours, backpacks heavy, lungs burning in the thin mountain air. The trail twisted through dense forests, sunlight flickering through golden leaves, the crunch of fallen foliage beneath our boots. The mountains were beautiful, almost too perfect, almost too quiet. I remember thinking, this is exactly what I needed. But even then, I felt a subtle unease, a whisper at the back of my mind telling me to stay alert. By late afternoon, we stumbled across an old wooden cabin perched just above the tree line. It was crooked, small, with a chimney that looked like it hadn't been used in decades. Dust covered the floor, and the air smelled of damp wood and smoke, though no fire had burned there in years. I tried to laugh it off, but a chill ran down my spine. The walls were carved, deep grooves forming strange symbols, circles, lines, and faces, eyes staring at us from the wood itself. Lucas shrugged it off, saying it must have been some old woodworker or a forester leaving marks. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the carvings were watching. Every shadow seemed alive. Every beam of sunlight cutting through the forest felt like it highlighted shapes that weren't there before. We set up camp outside, pitching tents on uneven ground. I meticulously arranged our sleeping gear and stacked firewood, each snap of a branch underfoot echoing in the heavy silence. The sun sank behind the peaks, and shadows stretched long and thin, twisting across the forest floor like fingers reaching for us. That's when I first heard it. Whispers. Faint at first, like wind through the trees, but deliberate. Almost words. Almost names. Alex! Alex! I froze. My friends didn't hear it. I shook my head, convincing myself it was just the wind, but the whisper came again, closer, more insistent. My heart pounded and I could feel it brushing against my mind, tugging at my thoughts, shaping them in ways I didn't want. I clenched my fists and muttered under my breath, "It's nothing. Just the wind. Nothing." Night fell completely and the wind rose. The trees groaned, branches scraping against each other. From the cabin came soft thuds, like footsteps pacing inside, circling. I whispered to my friends, "Do you hear that?" They laughed nervously, thinking I was imagining it. But the thuds continued, louder, moving to the door, stopping, then moving again. I could feel my stomach knotting, bile rising. I couldn't sleep. Shadows twisted at the edge of my vision. I kept my flashlight ready, sweeping it across the trees, the cabin, the clearing. Sometimes a tall figure appeared just beyond the beam, impossibly thin, impossibly still. When I blinked, it vanished. Marta muttered something about tricks of the light, but I could feel the weight of something unseen pressing against me. Hours passed. The whispers became chants, melodic and low. My heartbeat sounded amplified in my ears, pounding against the rhythm of something else, something alive. I whispered prayers, clutched my camera like a talisman, trying to convince myself I wasn't losing my mind. At one point, Marta screamed. Something had brushed past her tent, quick, silent, not human. We ran outside, flashlights slicing through fog and shadows. The air was thick, cold, heavy. Eyes, or something like them, seemed to be on us everywhere, and the cabin loomed behind us, larger, darker, as if it had grown overnight. We spent the night huddled by the fire, speaking in hushed voices. Every snap of a branch, every gust of wind made us jump. We heard whispers coming from inside the cabin, soft and deliberate, calling our names. Jonas swore he saw shapes moving past the windows, hands, faces pressed against the glass that shouldn't have been there. By the next morning, exhaustion and fear had taken hold. We packed as fast as possible, but the trail seemed different, twisted, unfamiliar. Paths we had walked the day before were gone. The forest seemed alive, shifting as we moved. And the whispers didn't stop. That night, sleeping in tents far from the cabin, I was certain we weren't alone. The tall figure appeared on the ridge, watching silently. Branches snapped unnaturally close, shadows formed shapes that moved with intent. I could hear footsteps circling the tents, breathing synchronized with mine. I tried to stay awake, gripping my flashlight, but fatigue made my eyes heavy. I woke to the sound of laughter, low, deliberate, echoing around the clearing. It didn't belong to any of us. I saw movement in the fog. I woke to the sound of laughter, low, deliberate, echoing around the clearing. It didn't belong to any of us. I saw movement in the fog, shadows stretching, twisting, taking form. One shape loomed over my tent, watching. I shouted, "Who's there?" The fog swallowed my voice. By the third night, fear was no longer a feeling. It was a physical weight pressing into my chest, twisting my stomach, making every breath a struggle. The whispers became voices, naming each of us, calling us to the cabin. I refused, but every instinct screamed that something wanted us to follow. We left at dawn, stumbling down the trail, exhausted, terrified. Looking back, the cabin seemed taller, darker, and the carvings on the walls, glowing faintly, eyes staring, watching. I never spoke of it to anyone outside our group. But sometimes, when the wind whistles through the trees, I hear my name, and I feel it. Still watching, still patient, still waiting.